Oh man, you know what? But before we get the show started, Bay Holiday on this Monday, we gotta give a big happy birthday to Eric Calligraphy.
Absolutely. Happy birthday, bro. Man, he brings so much vibrancy to our team. Love you, E.
Yeah, man, that's our guy. Can't wait to hook up with Eric later. It's been a rough year for Eric Calligraphy. Want you to know that we're sending a lot of love and positive vibes your way, brother Eric.
Absolutely. And with that, I just got to say, I mean, it is a beautiful, beautiful day today. We are starting the week off right. Welcome to the Morning Update Show, you guys. I am your co-host, Trey Holiday. You guys heard him earlier just now. We got to give that love to Eric Calligraphy out there. Bring in Big O. What's up, Big O?
Man, happy Monday, Trey Holiday. It looks like it's a busy news Monday today, too. News just now coming out of City Hall that Mayor Durkin announced that she will not be running for re-election. So we're going to cover that. Also joining us, we have the proprietors from Cafe Red, and Nikki Barrett will be joining us for coronavirus update. But before all that, please bring Justin Carter of CapitolHillSeattle.com onto the screen. There he is.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing all right. I'm not quite in as good a mood as you two, but I'll catch up.
All right. Well, you know why we're in a good mood though, man. Is like we ate good this weekend. I don't know if you passed by communion or not.
We did. We've got some great pictures. We'll get on the site later today, but it's quite a celebration over there at 24th and Union.
Right, for sure. So, of course, like I said, there's breaking news with the mayor and all of that, but we got to put the community first. So we'll get to the mayor's story. First off, here, man, 1 and 2. Where's this video here? Here's the video from the ribbon cutting.
5, 3, 2, 1. Woo!
An epic moment there, Justin, when you say.
They brought out the big scissors, I mean, that's equitable development, something you can talk a lot about. Here's an example of it coming to life finally in the neighborhood. Long journey from the old bank parking lot that was there to a great building with affordable housing to now the business component kind of being fully envisioned there at the corner. And it's exciting. I mean, I wish it wasn't coming in the middle of the restrictions so we could all sit in there, but that's coming soon.
All right. And I wanted to put this up here. This is for community news. This tweet right here, tweeted this out on Saturday. Historic Mormon in the Central District of Seattle as communion restaurant, the brainchild of Chef Christy Brown and Damon Bomar, is now open for business inside the Liberty Bank building on 24th and Union. 7,000 views on this video. 7,000 views on the video.
I love it. You know what? At the end of the day, it was such a celebration. You're absolutely right, Justin, because while we're out there, you got the DJ, Vitamin D, one of our, community DJs, been around for so many years. And it was such a celebration. It was a real party. And I'm going to tell you, I've been to restaurant openings before. And let me just say, this one had the flair of the culture all over it, man. We was out there doing electric slide. We was jamming, man. I had a great time.
Yeah, no, safe to say that the neighborhood was lit. And, I thought this was an important story as well, having you on here today, Justin, because although your blog is CapitolHillSeattle.com, clearly you've been covering the Central District from day one. So this is a story that you've seen actually grow over the years. You've seen it from an idea, from a groundbreaking of Liberty Bank building to just now. What does this signal to you with the possibility of what Africatown Community Land Trust has been talking about, the possibility of more Black businesses returning to the Central District?
Yeah. I mean, the model is real. And now you can start to do things that are kind of, like optimization. You can look at this and say, okay, well, what did we like about it and what didn't we? And the next one can be modified. So now you have an opportunity down the block over at 23rd and Spring to do something similar, and ownership can be different. I mean, I think the goals are still going to have to play out, though. I mean, there's long-term ownership issues around 24th and Union in the Liberty Bank building. Community Roots Housing is a great organization. But the next step is maybe looking at maybe some bigger achievements like true, full community ownership. And this is the start.
Absolutely.
And Trey Holiday, before we move on to the next story, you're part of Africa Town Community Land Trust, Liberty Bank building. What's next as far as that model, as far as these buildings and having below market rate rent, so business owners that look like us can have retail space?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Justin, that this is part of a trend that's really growing. And we've been looking at shared commercial affordability models. We have a great food center right now in Tukwila that is doing some innovative work in that regard. And being able to, again, learn from the past, learn from each iteration of these development projects as they come out into the community so that we can bring all of that knowledge to the next project. So we saw right here, Communion had a large amount of money they had to come up with just to forfeit that space and to make it right. So now we're talking about, okay, what does it look like to have a shared acquisition fund for commercial spaces so that they can utilize those funds for those kinds of upgrades and for fitting their spaces to make sure that it's right for what they need in their business. But also, how do we have shared affordability? So that's a lot of the things that are being looked at right now. You mentioned it right there, 23rd and Spring with Africa Town Plaza breaking ground next year. So again, being able to bring those lessons from Liberty Bank building into the next projects is really what we're talking about. And it's exciting because there are some innovative models globally and also nationally that we can glean from, and locally. So people are doing it. People are doing the work.
All right. Email went out 10:24 this morning from Stephanie Forsman, the chief of staff, Mayor Durkin, and now the city is buzzing. The mayor has announced that she will not run for re-election.
I first ran for mayor to help address our growing economic disparity by working to create opportunities for everyone in our city. We've accomplished a lot together. Tuition-free college with our Seattle Promise, $1.7 billion in affordable housing, additional protections for workers. And we stood strong against the Trump administration to protect immigrants, LGBTQ families, and BIPOC communities. But we know 2020 changed everything. The pandemic hit us hard. I'm proud Seattle has been a national leader in free citywide COVID testing, a moratorium on evictions, securing PPE, and doing everything possible to keep our communities healthy. But we know stopping the spread of the virus, protecting jobs, and focusing on the economic recovery, especially for downtown, is going to take everything we've got. As mayor approaching the last year of my term, that meant a choice. I could spend the next year campaigning to keep this job or focus all my energy on doing the job. There was only one right choice for our city, doing the job. I've decided not to run for re-election because Seattle, we still have some tough months ahead. I will focus on leading our city as we plan to reopen and distribute a vaccine, support our workers and small businesses, continue reimagining community safety, and addressing challenges like the West Seattle Bridge, homelessness, and climate change. Together, we can get through this and come back stronger, better, and more equitable. Thank you for listening, for your support, and for your extraordinary efforts during these unprecedented times. Please, mask up and stay safe.
Paid for by Jenny Durkin for Seattle.
All right, Justin Carter, your thoughts.
I kind of want to see the other version of that ended with her pitch for the run. It feels a lot like a campaign ad for being a goodbye message in a way. So it's an interesting moment here for the city that I have never seen before. And I guess the question that will come to a lot of people's minds is one, okay, so what's the real reason? Because those reasons of focus and that she talks about in the ad or in the message, those are the things that lots of candidates would do to keep and retain their seat. So it'll be interesting to see as the reporting as a chance to get to dig in the story as we learn more. And I guess the next real big question is, okay, well, who is going to run? And those names are going to start filling our social media streams and our headlines probably right now. It's time.
Bay Holiday.
Yeah, this is interesting. I agree with you there, Justin. I mean, when I'm looking at the ad and listening to a lot of how the positioning has been this year, has really been about, creating these funds for, Black community or BIPOC community, whatever. But my initial thought originally, and Justin, is, what's going to happen with all of the promises that were made from this particular administration when this administration is gone? Do they carry forward? How much can we assure that, when we talk about 10-year investment, I will always say into the Black community. I know that the language now says BIPOC, but I always will go back to her original statement. That is something that, the Black community is looking forward to in terms of direct investment. And so that's where I go with it. Is how do those things play out that she's kind of put out there?
Now, I would say this, now that the mayor has made this announcement, there's some signals that I think that we've seen come along the way. And it's interesting. We had this discussion, myself, Mike Davis, and Kevin Schofield, when we did a budget show. And we talked about how the city council took the $100 million, was like, yeah, you can get 30. We'll kind of tell you how to use it. And the mayor was like, yeah, okay, no problem. There was no pushback from the mayor. And right then it was kind of like, man, I wonder why the mayor didn't push back against the city council. And some people were like, well, maybe it's just thawing of relationship, everything else. But it seemed like a finalization, as in she was able to push that whole conversation about the $100 million. It's now basically on the city council, and there's a few other things that the mayor has kind of been doing that maybe you read the tea leaves or whatever. Then also people here in Seattle, they consider Mayor Durkin, at least the progressives consider Mayor Durkin to be a conservative. But the rest of America considers Mayor Durkin to be like a leftist progressive. So who knows? She very well might be leaving to go and join Biden.
I'm telling you, that's where I go with it. Just listening to that ad almost right there. It's kind of like, Justin, maybe it's not local, but that may be for the national, right? Just, again, shoring up all of her wins during her, her term and really pumping up what she is here to do. I agree with you there in terms of what is the real reason. And I was just saying that I wonder, I think she's going to Biden, man. That's what I think the real reason.
What do you think's next, Justin?
I'm more interested in who's next and who emerges. I mean, it's pretty clear that Teresa Mosqueda, Lorena Gonzalez, those are the kinds of names this is probably a really great opportunity for. And they've put in a lot of work, especially this year, on starting to build that kind of support. So that's what I'm mostly focused on. When Durkin won the job in 2017. I did wonder about how much she really liked winning. I mean, having met with her in person, I know you have to be passionate to do these kinds of jobs. But there was always a sense that she did have her eye on some larger issues. And also, I think she was often really frustrated with the city. I mean, you could just see it in her face, especially this year and especially late in this year. And so I guess, from that standpoint, I see a personal thing, but I'm more interested in the folks who are going to step up now and give us probably a really interesting race in 2021.
All right, we had Councilmember Mosqueda here probably about 6 weeks ago, and we asked her, like, are you gonna run? And of course, we got the tap dance, but we shall see.
Well, are you gonna run? No. I hold on. I mean, I am a journalist, so Omari, this is your chance.
What's that?
This is the surprise announcements. You could. This is your chance. Would you like to throw your hat in the ring?
Bruh, this hat gonna stay right here. After Dylan and seeing the ins and outs of City Hall, the thing is, fortunately or unfortunately, we've been able to talk to all stakeholders continuously here in the city. Talk to the mayor's office, the city council, the King County Equity DAOs, the DCREBs, community groups, and everything else. Bruh, I'm not going downtown. They can keep it.
Good. All right.
So next up here, we put it up on the screen. It's urgent. Mayor says launching initiatives to open Cal Anderson, remove East Precinct wall amid encampments, and ongoing protests. This is from your blog, Capitol Hill Seattle blog. Tell us all about it, Justin.
Well, who knows now? I mean, who knows what's urgent anymore, given today's announcement. But yeah, there's a community, there's a lot of desire for people who live near Cal Anderson Park and the East Precinct and the businesses around there to try and just get a path out. There's a giant wall around the police precinct that means all sorts of terrible things for the protesters, and it also means so sorts of terrible things for the community, the park. People will have different definitions of what cleaning up Cal Anderson means and what opening Cal Anderson would mean. A lot of people mean a sweep, but a lot of people don't mean a sweep. And so all these things the mayor responded to and said, maybe the best she could at that point, because it's pretty hard to have a clear plan until there's really something to announce. She said, yes, we're making plans to do those things. Take down the wall around the East Precinct and reopen Cal Anderson Park, which has been technically closed all summer since CHOP.
Right. And according to Bobby Stills, when he passed by there this morning, people have been waiting, anticipating the sweep. What did you say, Bobby? 50 people up there, huh? He said that people have been, because they were supposed to get swept last week. I think on Friday they were supposed to get swept. So now people are just waiting on edge, kind of waiting for this sweep to occur. Maybe, I guess it's supposed to happen today, but who knows?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's one of the things when I report these things around the park that I just wish there was a way to do differently. It always creates rumors and paranoia, some of it very rightly placed, some of it opportunistic. That there's something scary or something bad about to happen. And so now I know there's a lot of worry on edge and people on edge. And there's reports of seeing police doing different things around the park and kind of getting people edged up. And it's a bad recipe. People are nervous about this kind of thing. And so that's the thing. If there's going to be some motion here from City Hall, it would be good to get some clarity and some language that made people feel better about the situation, because it is extremely nervous times for people who are living in the park right now.
All right. Next up here, 4/5 county proposal would make big loan to help patch part of the $300 million financing hole in Seattle's massive, nearly complete convention center expansion. Tell us about it.
So the $1.9 billion convention center that's under construction between Capitol Hill and downtown, right next to I-5, has a massive financing hole because of the COVID-19 crisis. And the county stepped forward last week with a proposal to float a loan for a portion of that, because none of the banks will touch this thing. And I guess what I thought was interesting underlying all of it is that the developers who are working on this expansion of the convention center that the city, there's lots of questions about whether it even needs, also slipped in that, that this loan is great, but it's not nearly enough, and that they'd also need a similar loan from the state of Washington, but also the city of Seattle to make the project work without laying off workers next year. And those are big asks in the middle of a pandemic for the state, but especially for the city.
Yeah, are they anticipating people really coming for conventions anytime soon, even when COVID blows over? I mean, has people's thoughts about conventions in Seattle, you think, changed?
Yeah, the leaders and the officials you heard talk about this last week were adamant in that it won't change and that humans will go back to the behaviors that they used to have as far as travel and business gatherings. And there's probably something to that, but there's also plenty of reporting and analysis that indicates that some of these trends were already happening as far as reducing the cost of travel. And there's a lot of people who look at it from an environmental standpoint. It's also, this business travel can be replaced with more virtual experiences. And so it seems really unclear that this expansion was ever needed at the scale it was designed, and now it looks like an investment where we're going to have to throw good money after what's become bad, and that's a problem right now.
Yeah, good money after bad is always a problem. I sent you this, and I think you might have came across it before, but we talked about this briefly last night. WBBBA, the Washington Build Back Black Alliance, a new alliance, made themselves aware last week. And this was made up of people from the October 100, Bird Bar, the Urban League, Emergency Feeding, NAM. And they look like it's a lot of the goals that they want to achieve are similar. Well, maybe not similar in the exact result, but similar as far as at least bullet points of King County Equity Now. So it looks like there's another voice that's emerging out there.
Yeah, and when I looked at that list and I looked at the goals of the organization as far as representing these kinds of communities of basically, Black Puget Sound, it's a massive kind of goal. And so my first reaction is like, well, that's impossible. But if you look at it more in terms of what's the best possible combination of people to achieve something like that, that's where this kind of list really starts to, it looks a little different. These names are all very important organizations, important people. And especially with this news this morning around Durkin, this kind of group might end up being really critical in what comes next here.
Well, I think that it's funny you say that. I think when we talk about the community and the voice on the streets and how plugged in, I think that's what we saw this summer was that swell of just kind of the ground level voices wanting to be heard in these larger spaces, right? And so kind of taking that community voice to Olympia, I think is really where King County Equity Now thrives. And I just have a question for you in terms of the difference, right? When you think about maybe the approach of WBBBA versus King County Equity Now or DCREM, what do you feel like the difference in approach may be, Justin?
Yeah, I think the approach might end up being in some ways the substance here for some people. I do think that there is fatigue for parts of the city and the region around what's happened this year as far as activism goes, and that's ridiculous in many lights because it's such an important thing that are being taken on, and really the fight hasn't been that long. But there is a distaste for the some of the extremes of things like defunding the police and people taking defunding to mean a complete elimination instantly and those kinds of things. So I think it is about that, the flavor of the group and the substance, the style of it, maybe over those kinds of substantive things that may be the opportunity here. But it's also, I'll also be the first to admit that it is definitely not going to be me and people like me that decides the success or failure of a group like this. This is going to be about the community that they're saying that they represent. And so I think that conversation starts now and it'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, is definitely interesting. Some of the initial feedback was people saying, well, they're kind of late to the party, as in things have been going. But, clearly the fight for justice and equality has been a long time going. So we'll see how it rolls out. Hopefully we'll be talking to WBBBA this week. Moving on here, let's see. This is actually from Cairo Radio, but this is something you've been covering for years, Uncle Ike. So Uncle Ike owner, dangerous potential of destruction in Seattle is horrifying. And basically, Ike, they put out a press release about a week ago and was talking about basically protesters antagonizing employees there and doing different things over there at Uncle Ike's. And it looks like Ike is coming on air, with a public awareness saying that basically he's getting bullied by protesters.
Yeah, it's not clear to me yet why the timing is the thing. We know that Uncle Ike's has had these issues over the years, really. And we know that there were incidents, repeated property damage incidents over the recent months. Why the effort now to go on the air and put out messaging around it, it's not exactly clear why that's coming now. But it is kind of, it is funny to read these stories in the mainstream press. And I think it's a good reader habit to ask yourself, where's this coming from and why, and try and read through. And in this case, it is very much, it's a press release decision. It wasn't like there was another incident that was worse than the rest of those things. He's decided to message this now. I haven't talked to him. I haven't called Ian Eisenberg in a long time, and so I'm a little out of touch with him. So I am kind of curious. I was going to follow up and find out a little more about why he felt like he needed to do this now, given that things are settled maybe a little more and a little more quiet on the protest front. So, but I'm looking forward to maybe asking him those kinds of questions if I get a chance to.
Yeah, well, I think it's really important too that one of the things that we're seeing is people are getting more and more educated, right? So when they realize, oh man, this is why certain things have played out, it's like their education is bubbling up to the surface, and it maybe making them feel the need or desire to address things head on. Because I think that that's what a lot of this kind of rhetoric around Ian Eisenberg saying this, Uncle Ike, and then just what we were just talking about in terms of maybe, the WBBBA taking a different approach, right? But I think that there's a lot of people on the ground. Just wanted to ask you how you're seeing this play out, because I think people are just getting educated and they're really beginning to understand some of the players that have been behind the scenes outside of their purview a long time, making things happen in this city.
Yeah, I mean, we should all be aware that there is, especially in this day and age, there's a media component to politics, and we should look at I guess this is an interesting. It's not really part of the Eisenberg story, but in some ways connected. Mike Solon, the head of the police officers union, has a podcast now, and he's doing shows, and all of a sudden he's part of the media, and so we're gonna see these kinds of messages. This is, it starts with a kind of a press release. The media will pick it up in certain kind of groups, and folks like Mike Solon will probably be talking about this, and that ecosphere gets built, and then in that messages can kind of get broadcast in louder because of that system existing.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what. See, this we always have to differentiate ourselves here at Converge. So what I did is I reached out to some of these groups that have been saying that they have the issues with Uncle Ike. And they said that they want to have a dialogue with Ian. They said that they want to have a dialogue. They want to talk to him. They said that Ian's been ducking him. So I called Ian and I was like, yo, people in the streets say you've been ducking him. And so Ian said he's down to do a live show. The organization said they're down to do I mean, this is what I'm saying. Everybody just goes one-sided story, one-sided issue. We're going to bring all these people together on one platform and let's air it out for the community.
That's how we do it.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Let's throw it out there. Are you going to moderate? You're going to be a moderator for us?
No, I'm going to watch. Peace at 23rd and Union.
All right, it's keeping it on cannabis here. This is an article from a fellow Bulldog. This is Naomi Ishisaka, and talks about here. This is in the Seattle Times today, how Black business people were left out of Washington's green gold rush after marijuana was legalized. And it says here that even after legalization, Black people are still arrested for marijuana possession at twice the rate than white people, even though they use marijuana the same. And in Whatcom County, where Bellingham is, that number jumps to Black people being 9 times more likely to be arrested. But this article goes on to talk about Aaron Barfield. And, back before they issued the licenses, there was lots of Black people in this cannabis business with dispensaries. And in 2014, the Black people got kicked out. And, there's no ownership. The whole Sean Kemp thing is kind of covered in here. But Trey, I'll go to you with this first. It says that King County Equity now and Blacks for Excellence in Cannabis is, I believe, Black Excellence in Cannabis. They're asking the city of Seattle and the Liquor Control Board for 100. They Black Excellence in Cannabis and King County Equity now are calling for the city of Seattle to request 30 new retail cannabis licenses from the LCB for Black business.
Yeah, absolutely. This is another facet that a team over at everywhere. And so this is another step that was identified as, the next step that we can take from a grassroots perspective to begin to infuse equity into that industry. And again, this is when we talk about Aaron Barfield, Aaron Bossett, there's a lot of great names that have been doing this work for Black cannabis equity since the industry really got popping off. And so this is really the next step in that. And again, King County Equity now is going to be connected to a lot of this and at the helm of a lot of this, because what we're really doing essentially is equity work in general.
Your thoughts? You've been following these issues here about Black cannabis and, the issues with Black people here in these licenses, Justin. They're saying some changes are on the way down in Olympia. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I look at things from the neighborhood perspective, and this is something that is missing. It was missing from day one. Other states hopefully have an opportunity to address equity in ownership. Seattle will be playing catch up, and Washington will be playing catch up. And what I think about from the neighborhood perspective, though, is the challenge of real estate and where to put these shops. It is very difficult, especially in the central city, to find locations that meet the state, local, and even kind of the federal needs around where a shop can be located. So that's going to be a real big challenge in doing something like this. But I think it's worth making it happen. It's the kind of thing that needs to occur to try and fix something that should have been there from the very beginning.
All right. Well, we'll continue to follow this. That's another live event we got coming on, because we already did one cannabis equity roundtable discussion. So we got another one on the way. Before we cut you loose, Justin, is there any other topic or subject or things that we should know, we want the public to know?
We're writing about a little doom and gloom here on CapitolHillSeattle.com this morning with the COVID crisis claiming a big arts group its presence on the Hill. We've lost a Velocity Dance Center is going to be leaving the neighborhood. So we're looking at the kind of the realities from the crisis this week as we start. And then later in the week, we'll have some interesting reporting on the Red Wolf Pope story. If everyone remembers, an activist and a writer who had some sexual assault issues and was convicted down in New Mexico. And now that case will be heading back, hopefully, to Seattle, where justice can be addressed here too. And so we'll be writing about that later in the week.
All right. Good stuff, man. Well, thank you for taking the time to join us this morning, Justin. It's always a pleasure. Want to encourage everybody to go over there to CapitolHillSeattle.com. Justin does amazing coverage of Capitol Hill as well as the Central District. We appreciate you, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to take a short break, and going into the break right here, though, we actually have a video that Bobby Steels, Jake Gravrot, and Nikki Barron produced around communion, and they're talking about the lineage of communion. And when we come back on the other side, we're going to have Haley and Josiah from Cafe Red. You are watching the Morning Update Show.
I think about the story. When I think about what makes communion special, I think about the story of my mother and I moving to Seattle in 85? I think it was the summer of 85. And we didn't know where to go to get Black food. We didn't know where to go to get cornbread, greens, any of that kind of thing. And it was just so frustrating. And so when somebody was like, hey, go up there on 23rd and Jackson, you can go to the Red Apple. And it was like, oh, and we walked in, we were so super happy, like walking through the aisles. Hey, there's some cornbread. Hey, there's this and that. And for people that have been, previously from other places and moved here to Seattle, we know that through our catering, that we've been a beacon of light for folks to be like, hey, we're here. And I think that this corner is so significant for that very reason, to let people know that we are here and we are not going anywhere. And so I think that communion is significant for me in that way, to just be able to provide a space. The first night we had the soft opening, and people came through and were able to sit on the patio. And it was just like, especially right now, right? Like during COVID, and being able to make sure that folks have a place to commune together is everything. And there's nothing like it in the city. And although there are many other Black-owned restaurants, and we are so proud to be a part of that community, we know that this is significant because of our location and because of where we are. So I think that's just a big deal.
My parents coming over here as refugees meant that they didn't really have anything when they came to America. Having reliable healthcare and having a reliable doctor was really important. 共同của tôi, trạm y tế của tôi.
我的社区，我的诊所。Mi comunidad, mi clínica.
بلشدة هي بقارها.
My community, my clinic.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your man, the Big O. Want to take a moment here, first of all, to say thank you for your support of Converge Media. We definitely wouldn't be here without you. Secondly, I want to thank everybody who is a supporter of Converge Media on Patreon. We definitely appreciate your support. And for those of you might not know, I'll let you know, we operate 100% off of donations. Some donations big, most donations small, but we love all donations all the same. If you haven't done so yet, I want to encourage you to go on our website to whereweconverge.com/donate and subscribe. You click on the Patreon link and you can subscribe for as little as $5 a month. There's higher tiers beyond that as well. And just know that your subscription literally keeps us on the air. Once again, want to thank you for all your support. All right, welcome back. Welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury.
I am Trey Holiday.
Bay Holiday. What's happening?
What's happening?
People always commenting on them earrings. Your earring game is popping.
Thank you. You know, a lot of these earrings come from our local folks, man. There's some great fair festivals and stuff, holiday markets coming up now, the holiday season.
They're always supportive of you. All right. So, please bring in Haley and Josiah of Cafe Red. There they are. Good morning. How are you?
Hey, doing well. Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you for having us.
Yeah, welcome to the Morning Update Show. Let's jump right into it. First of all, tell us who you are and what Cafe Red is. It's all about.
I'm Haley. This is Josiah. We started Cafe Red in 2015. We were initially just a bicycle pop-up in the South End, different locations like South Park, Othello, Beacon Hill. And that was a really awesome first step. But in about 2017, we opened our brick and mortar location right at the corner of Othello and MLK. And we've been going ever since.
The things that you offer there at Cafe Red.
Oh, I'm sorry, you broke up. Say that again.
I said, what are some of the things you offer there at Cafe Red?
Oh man, all sorts. So obviously we're a cafe. Coffee's a big part of it, but beyond that, we have been developing our own food menu. We started with just like 2 or 3 sandwiches, and now we have a full menu. As of after we closed for during COVID for a couple months, and whenever we reopened, we actually switched the food menu to being fully plant-based too. Just knowing that a lot of people in the community have been seeking options like that, and they've been hard to find. So everything from breakfast sandwiches, lunch sandwiches. We have a vegan mac and cheese. We've got all sorts.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. You started naming off the dishes and my mouth started watering. I'm sorry. You said plant-based vegan mac and cheese. Can you just name a couple others? Because veganism is really growing within community. A lot of people looking for healthy options right now during COVID, ways to combat that and make their body strong. What are maybe one more vegan dish? Because you were about to give it all up to us. Give us another.
Ooh, oh man, we have vegan avocado grilled cheese, and just like a standard grilled cheese as well. But yeah, bacon breakfast sandwich, sausage breakfast sandwich. We have Austin, Texas style breakfast tacos. Yeah, all sorts.
Right on.
You guys, there's lots of good stuff. I got a question for you. Of course, everybody's dealing with COVID, and COVID has actually closed a lot of businesses down, as you know. How has COVID, and especially this lockdown that we're going through right now, impacted your business? What changes have you had to make?
A lot.
One thing that's unfortunate is we were hosting a lot of shows and local artists, and our open mic was starting to really take off, and so that's had to pause. But we're still trying to think about how we can be creative about that part of our mission to host artists again. But besides that, a lot of it has been kind of day by day because you don't know what the future is going to be. But thankfully, before COVID, we're starting to get into online delivery like Uber Eats and all that. So that's kind of been our focus, is trying to make, pivot and make delivery options better. And so we've had to strategize our kitchen to be faster.
I think a few other things too. Just like before COVID, we had I think 7 people on staff, and now other than us, there's just one. We have one person who's finally starting next week too. So we'll have as of next week, we'll have 2 people on staff. So clearly, we've had to downsize the business a lot. We've stripped down our menu a lot. We have a lot less items than before, but and we've stripped down our hours a lot. We used to be open 7 days a week. We used to be open from until late into the evening a lot of times, and now we're closing at 2 p.m. and we're only open 5 days a week. So we've really just had to figure out how to strip down the business into something that's light and can kind of handle all the waves that are coming. And so we've actually, so the inside of the cafe is closed right now. We are open on the back patio, and so we have our old coffee cart. Actually, we have it set up on the back patio, and we're just serving from there. So yeah, it's cool though. Even though we're closed 2 days a week, those 2 days the cafe is still getting used. There's a group called Plant-Based Foodshare, headed up by Chef Ariel Bangs, along with a couple of other chefs in the neighborhood, Chef Brandon Rouge and Chef Danielle Griffin also. But they've been feeding people in the community, I think over 1,000 people a week now, with plant-based food boxes, which are beautiful. They've been giving out giant boxes of produce and legumes and all sorts of other stuff. So it's been cool to kind of watch how people have come together around the space and still been able to make use of the space, even whenever we're not able to use it as the cafe.
Yeah, that's important. I think in terms of making sure to maximize spaces. A lot of places are doing that. I have a fun question for you. I mean, you guys had to shrink your menu down, but what is one of your favorite menu items that still is on the menu? Something I can order tomorrow.
I would say the mac and cheese is probably still like number one, especially like in the winter. It's like nice and cozy, and yeah, like garlic roasted breadcrumbs on top, and our house-made Parmesan also on top of it. And
you guys make it in-house?
Yeah, we make it in-house.
Okay. Something to look forward to.
All right, but before we let you guys go, please tell us how can people support Cafe Red?
I mean, honestly, just trying the food, trying the drinks. If you like it, come back, tell other people about it. And actually, we're on all, like Haley mentioned, we're on all the delivery apps right now. So, if you can't venture out, you can still get us on DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, Postmates. Actually, through the end of this year, we're doing free delivery on DoorDash also. So, yeah, just try it out and tell people about it. That's really it.
All right. Haley and Josiah from Cafe Red, thank you for joining us and good luck with your business.
Hey, appreciate it. Thanks again.
Good luck, guys.
Yeah, man. I know you're big on the vegan stuff, Trey.
Yeah, you know what? It's a growing thing for me this year. It's been good because, when your body feels good, when you're eating something, you're like, I want to just keep eating that thing, or let me just keep on trying new things. So that's what I've been doing lately. And I actually put my hands on some, vegan mac and cheese, vegan mac and yeast, they call it. I was trying it out this year, trying some different recipes.
Right. We're running 2 minutes late today. And so usually Nikki Barron has a really cool intro and we're all dabbing to the music and everything, but we're going to try to get caught up on time here. Aria, can you bring in Nikki Barron, please?
Good morning.
Hi, Nikki.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm okay. I was scrambling back here to get my studio set up because you always talk about how great it is, so I couldn't go with it halfway.
Yeah, your home studio is fire. By the way, if you're out there, and especially if you speak to the public and you want to look fresh like Nikki Barron, how can people reach you? Because this is something we can do at Converge, is build a home studio, right?
Right. Yep. So if you want a home studio like mine, I can help you with lots of different price ranges. Just hit us, info@whereweconverge.com. We'll do a consultation, get you set up with your home studio so you can look and sound great. We're going to get into it, but it doesn't look like COVID's going away anytime soon. So if you've been holding off thinking like, I'm just going to get back to regular in-person meetings, it's not. You got a long time. So invest in your home studio if you are doing meetings, because it will make a world of difference for you. So yeah, info@whereweconverge.com.
All right. So Nikki Barron, it's the coronavirus update. Tell us all about it.
Right. So here are the numbers. So our confirmed cases rose to 177,000. Hospitalizations are up to 11,544. Deaths rose to 2,925. And our percent of deaths is 1.6. It was 1.8. So that did go down, which is great. The most important number, though, for us to be focusing on right now, because we do know that these numbers are rising, is actually going to be our hospital readiness number and our positive testing percentage. So the percentage for us right now, I think it's a 21.6% positive rate. And remember, our goal for that is 2%. And that was on 11/25 was when they reported that number. The 7-day rolling average is 12.9. So we've got a long way to go before we get back to normal. But our hospital readiness actually moved into the red. So last time I checked in on this number with you guys, we were at about 75%. The goal is to get to stay under 80% in order to know that we have enough beds to treat all the cases that are coming in. And we just surpassed that and are currently sitting at 81%. So what that basically means is that we're just not going to have beds when people go in to get treated for COVID. So the success rate of COVID treatment has increased and is getting better. And we're learning more and more techniques about how to keep people alive once they have a severe case of COVID. But if there's no hospital beds, there's not much we can do about it. So got to stay home, wash your hands, continue to social distance. Do not make plans for Christmas or, it's not going to be a very good New Year's for you and your family.
Man. Yeah, this news just keeps getting worse and worse.
Yeah, huh? I mean, really, I really appreciate you, Nikki, for these reports because, like I told you last week, it's really helping me understand, so much more about these trends and be able to bring that information to my family. I remember when we first started reporting on these numbers, that number right there in terms of where we were with the beds was like 7-something%. You were like, well, we want it to be around 2. And I was like, all right, we're not not that far, 5, points off. And now you're like, we're at 20-something%, and we still need that number to be at like 2. It's just crazy watching these numbers grow.
The thing is, well, is that, you can really walk around Seattle and see a high rate of compliance. But all across the state of Washington, there's restaurants that are staying open. There's sheriffs, basically, they're like, we're not going to enforce. There's a lot of non-compliance. And so living in Seattle and walking around Seattle, you get the assumption that the whole state is doing kind of what we're doing here in the municipality. But that's not necessarily the case, huh, Nikki?
Right. So in Seattle, I think people are on board. I was telling Omari the other night, he was like, telling me, you're doing such good work reporting on this. And I said, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir because our audience definitely is compliant, staying home, wearing masks. But when I look just outside of Seattle, we're just not seeing that. And we're just seeing more and more people have multiple family members now passing away from COVID. I actually sent an article to Omari. Karl Anthony Towns, NBA player, just revealed that he's lost 7 family members to COVID. It's no longer, somebody I heard from another town got COVID, whatever. It's people are having multiple family members passing away, and it's due to non-compliance. And for me, it's frustrating because I totally understand how uncomfortable it is to have to stay home, to have to wear a mask, to have our businesses, in danger. I was laid off due to COVID at the beginning of all of this as well. And it's been really difficult, but am I willing to put somebody else's life and maybe somebody else's grandmother, kids, family member's life at risk because I want to go eat in a restaurant? To me, it's just not worth it. So I wish that people really could understand that it's not about our individual survival rates of COVID. In my age group, people are going to survive. It's that if I'm walking around as a asymptomatic carrier, I'm likely going to, with this, percentage of positive test rates, I'm likely going to infect someone else and get that. And it's very easy, 1 to 2 people, and I'm up. I could be infecting somebody in an elder care community. 1 to 2 connections away, I could be getting somebody's kid sick, who then infects an entire school. Like, it's the ripple effect happens so quickly that we really need to stay on top of this. And it's really uncomfortable to be the person to always be like, hey, like when I see people with their nose hanging out, I'm like, hey, don't forget, just gotta go. I don't like it. I had somebody yell at me in the grocery store because I asked them to pull their mask up. But if that means that I just maybe save somebody's life, I'm going to do it. And that's what I'm hoping that our community can do. And we can activate in that way, is we all know that we are being compliant, but, maybe taking that step to ask our family members that we know aren't, ask our friends that don't believe that this is actually happening, really start to be that beacon to try to get compliance in the communities that are not following it, because it's affecting our communities who are following the rules.
Well, it's just crazy that you're even saying this, because really, I think, and for me, I was thinking, when people understand that you may not know that you are symptomatic and you're walking around giving your grandmother a hug, kissing so-and-so on the cheek, hugging, doing these kind of things that people would be like, what? Yeah, let me stop doing that. But I thank you for uplifting this and for uplifting the fact that really what we're seeing is a bunch of non-compliance that's helping this virus spread. And I love that you just pointed that out, because I think people really do need to understand themselves have the ability to be spreading this in ways that they don't understand. And you just said it, just 2 people could be exponentially more cases. So thank you for pointing out that trend so people can get those ideals in their mind. I think it's very important, Nikki.
Nikki, before we cut you loose here, you have a coronavirus update show tonight at 6:15. Briefly tell us what people can expect.
Yeah, so tonight at 6:15, wherever you are watching right now, we have our COVID update show where we are going to be talking to the folks over at Langston Hughes about resources for artists. and including they've done a grant program that they still have a really long list of people that they need help funding. So we'll be talking about that grant program and how you can support artists. And they've also compiled a list of different organizations and groups for independent artists to go and get funding. So we'll be talking about that tonight. And then, we've got some really great episodes coming up. We're going to be talking about speaking with Kevin Schofield about his report he did on the link between the measles and mumps vaccination and successful outcomes for COVID. We've got COVID and mental health. We've got some really cool episodes, and all of our past episodes, if you're interested, just go to whereweconverge.com. Go to our COVID resources page. You'll find all the video episodes there. We have 4 so far, or you can stream it as a podcast on your favorite podcast streaming platform.
All right, Nikki, appreciate it. I'll catch you again at 6:15.
See you then.
All right. Nikki Barron, man, she stays on top of it.
It's great reporting, honestly. And it's just one of those things where I'm like, I remember when COVID first hit and it was like, oh man, these are some scary numbers to be reporting every day. I'm telling you, man, we got our own expert in house.
We're going up to 300,000. I remember when we started on this, the number was in the teens.
Yeah.
When our show started, it was in the teens. Now it's approaching 300,000. And it's crazy. And they're saying that the surge from Thanksgiving, all the Thanksgiving travel hasn't even really hit the hospitals yet.
Yeah. And the thing is, too, is that I was concerned. I mean, a lot of my work is on the front lines, as essential as it gets, almost being out there trying to make sure resources are being distributed in community. So much of our team here at Converge, going out and capturing these stories. I am thankful that we have been safe. I am thankful that we have been following protocols. We got Nikki right here making sure that we're going to stay on it. I'm just glad that we haven't seen those things permeate internally.
Yeah, I tell you what, 6:15 tonight, tune in to Coronavirus Update Show. Looks like it's about that time, Trey Holiday.
All righty, I'm standing ready to do this.
Yeah, so any final words before we get out of here today?
Make it a great week. That's always my word, because we have the ability to choose whether it's great or not. It's up to us.
Well, that's a good one. You're right. I always tell people, you don't outsource your happiness. You know what I'm saying? You're responsible for your own happiness. Have a wonderful day. Catch you at 6:15 tonight for the Coronavirus Update Show. And as far as the morning update show, see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. And until then, peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has facing the rising sun of a new day.